Hello, and welcome to the fourth quarter Sheriff's Roundup for 2017. I'm Sheriff Bill Brown, this time coming to you from the Santa Barbara County Emergency Operations Center. All year round, this center is used as a central location for emergency preparedness. During an actual emergency, it quickly becomes a critical location for many different agencies to come together under one roof and figure out how to best lessen the impact of a potential or an actual disaster on the people of Santa Barbara County. The importance of having this central location was clearly apparent during the recent Tomas Fire, the largest wildfire in modern California history.
Look at the spinning inside that cloud of smoke up there. It's getting very intense. When you have this much wind, the fire is literally pushing all this smoke right over Montecito and into Santa Barbara.
The fire, which broke out on December 4th in the Santa Paula Canyon of Ventura County, burned more than 280,000 acres, destroyed more than 1,000 structures, and is to blame for the deaths of two people. A 70-year-old Santa Paula woman who died in a car crash while fleeing from the initial stages of the fire, and 32-year-old Corey Iverson of San Diego, a fireman who died fighting the fire. He had been with CAL FIRE for 8 years and leaves behind a wife, a young daughter, and a baby on the way. We will be forever grateful for his sacrifice. Although Santa Barbara County is very familiar with wildland fires, this one was different than any other we had seen before and presented a number of significant challenges. Here's Lieutenant Kevin Huddle, who was assigned to the Fire Incident Command in Ventura, and Rob Lewin, the Director of the Emergency Operations Center, to wrap up how things went from the Sheriff's and the county's perspective.
The uniqueness of the Tomas Fire was how quickly that fire spread. When it initially started in Ventura County, it devastated that community in the first 24 hours. One day it moved 60,000 acres and 6 miles in a 24-hour period, which is unprecedented for fires in our front country. 14 different states sent fire personnel to fight this fire. It's the most fire personnel assigned to a fire in California history. At the peak of it, we had almost 9,000 fire personnel assigned to this fire.
During a major fire, the incident is run by an incident management team that directs all the firefighters on how to contain the fire. In a major fire like this, we often have all these other things that are going on as a result of the fire. People are being evacuated. We had terrible issues with smoke and ash. We had a gasoline tanker overturned in the middle of the whole incident. These are the sort of things that Emergency Operations Center is built for. It's one big roof, and underneath that roof is all the agencies that can come and support the impacts of the fire, so that the fire itself is not burdened with dealing with things like, how do we care for people that have access and functional needs? How do we deal with their pets and their horses? And how do we take care of people on the outside? How do we make sure that the law enforcement folks and the soldiers that came are being taken care of, they have lodging and food? That's what we can do at an Emergency Operations Center.
The way the speed and the weather conditions of how this fire moved, it was a really strong likelihood that it could reach Highway 154. And with that, with all of the communities in our front country between Santa Barbara City, the unincorporated area, the Montecito, Carpinteria, Summerlin areas, we had a lot of community members and houses and structures that were going to be jeopardized that we really had to take into consideration.
We're constantly trying to think ahead in days ahead, and then also deal with those issues that we don't expect that come up, and then deal with those.
Key was to pass out information and distribute timely information so the community and residents would be informed and feel comfortable with how we were working the fire. We had town hall meetings at San Marcos High School for multiple days in a row that we've never done before.
The evacuation areas, the mandatory evacuation areas, have not changed. We still expect days of activity on this fire.
We established a staging area at the La Cumbra Shopping Center, and that's where all our allied agencies and evacuation resources came for briefing, assignment, and staging.
The county is divided into evacuation zones, pre-planned evacuation zones. Within those zones, what we're doing is taking those and we're subdividing those to go out and make the evacuation notices. We'll put probably 2 to 3 teams in each one of these, and then we'll give out the assignments, and they'll go door to door in order to evacuate all this area.
Santa Barbara Sheriff, search and rescue.
We also have log sheets of each team, and we fill out the addresses they've gone to, if they've been contacted, if someone's there. Are they evacuating? If not, we get their phone number and some other information. All these were pre-planned before today as far as evacuations. Mainly this is Montecito area right below San Isidro and Hot Springs Canyons that we are concerned about coming down last couple of days. But it's obviously expanded west and now into the city.
Search and rescue was instrumental in the evacuations. I can't give them enough accolades. They're all volunteers. They do this on their own time, and when we call them, they drop everything that they're doing. They go into harm's way, they go into smoky areas, and they work long hours and then return to their private lives and go back to work with little or no sleep. The interesting thing with fires and with evacuations is not only does it take a lot of resources to do the evacuations, then it's the next 12, 24, 48 hours that you need to continue that presence to not only man all of the hard closures as well as provide an abundance of saturation patrols to make sure we're protecting those communities and those residences where the people had evacuated. So we're ultimately responsible for the safekeeping of their belongings. We had poor air quality and it was unhealthy. Schools closed well before the Christmas break, as well as a lot of people self-evacuated because of the poor air quality. Thanks to Public Health, Direct Relief, and the Medical Reserve Corps, who passed out over 350,000 masks to the community in order to help them with the poor air quality.
We're fortunate in California that we can mobilize a firefighting force as large as the one that was here. Never been as big as this, and even though we have major mega fires here in California, to have a deployment of that many resources and that many law enforcement and soldiers to be able to secure those neighborhoods that were evacuated is really something that we all in California need to be proud of. And the reason this fire went out was not because of weather change. This fire went out because of good firefighting.
So due to a lot of the fire terrain, it was not accessible by foot. The air attack between helicopters and fixed wing was very important. Santa Barbara County Air Support Unit was instrumental in providing 24-hour water drops throughout the incident. Firefighters came with the same mission and they did a fabulous job. It was a pleasure working with them in a unified incident command.
Thanks, Lieutenant Huddle, for being our representative in Ventura, and thank you, Rob Lewin, for the great job you did in the Emergency Operations Center. Your leadership is much appreciated. We at the Sheriff's Office want to thank all of the firefighters from throughout California and the nation who so bravely fought to protect life and property, both on the ground and from the air. We want to thank every allied law enforcement agency and the California National Guard for assisting us with evacuations and helping patrol the evacuated areas. We want to thank the huge number of support personnel who provided administrative, food, mechanical, and other services to this army of firefighters and cops. And lastly, we want to extend a big thank you to the residents of Santa Barbara County who were impacted by this devastating fire. You were incredibly patient and cooperative. Fighting this troublesome fire was truly a team effort. Sergeant Mark Williams was one of the deputies assigned to patrol the evacuated areas. Here he takes us on a ride-along, showing us what he found while driving through areas the fire burned in Montecito.
I'll tell you my experience with the many fires I've worked before. The crews that are there on the ground actively evacuating people are crucial, and their intercommunication to talk to each other either directly with radio or just in person, whether you run into another unit. It's hard for people to have good real-time intelligence on what's going on when the winds are moving that fast. Most of our deputies who've worked these before, they know that you need to get people notified and out of their houses quickly. Pretty much anybody who's working will grab essential things that they need, they'll jump into a car, and they will head out to the danger zone. So everyone's fleeing, we have deputies that are jumping in cars, and they're going to notify and evacuate people. And it has to happen quickly. Right now we're in the hills, the foothills above Montecito, and as you can see down the hillside here, we do have a house that was destroyed by the Tomas Fire. And if you can just look at the Montecito area, you can see the amount of fuel, the trees that can burn. So there's so much fuel, and again with the winds, that's why it's such a dangerous combination.
The Tomas Fire was a perfect example of how important it is to be signed up to receive emergency alerts. You simply can't risk not being signed up. In 2017 alone, Santa Barbara County had 2 major storms and 2 wildfires. And during these life-threatening situations, some important alerts were sent out. For this edition of Focus on Safety, we talked to County Emergency Manager Brian Ewell and Communications Dispatch Supervisor Joe Ayala, who show us how these alerts work and how to customize them to work for you.
So here at the 911 Center here in Santa Barbara, we get any number of emergency incidents, and they start small, but also they affect the public as they grow in size. So eventually they get to the size where we need to notify the public about what's going on in their neighborhood, either related to a police action or a fire emergency or a natural disaster that would require perhaps evacuations, or just notify the public that they need to do something like stay in place or move to a different area. So since the dispatchers are here 24/7, they're the initial responders or the initial notification senders. What we'll do is we'll circle an area on a map and notify people affected in the affected neighborhood and to give them instructions on what to do. And during a bigger incident, we also bring on board the resources at Office of Emergency Management.
So this is the Emergency Operations Center's incident management room. And if there's a large-scale incident, this room is going to be filled with people who are providing coordination and support for incidents out in the field, like earthquakes, wildfires, floods, and so on. We have approximately 50 workstations in here. There's a variety of different county departments that are going to be assisting in the response to incidents and the support for the incident command. And this is really the room where most of that takes place. We're responsible for the overall planning, response, and recovery efforts related to emergencies and disasters in our county. There needs to be a certain amount of coordination in order to effectively respond and correct the incident. And so that's really what the Office of Emergency Management does. We provide support to the field level, and then we also provide that operational area level support. Life safety is a priority in everything that we do. And when you have an emergency or a disaster, information is critical because people need that information to be able to take steps to protect themselves and stay safe. So that's where our mass notification system comes in. In Santa Barbara County, our mass notification program is called Aware and Prepare. If you're a resident in the county, you can go to the website awareandprepare.org, click on the red Register for Alerts button, and it takes about 3 minutes to sign up.
It's important for people to sign up because we get better and more effective notifications to them. If the public comes to our site at awareandprepare.org, they can customize the types of notifications and where they want to receive them, by text message, email, or phone call, or home line. With that information, we can draw an area around the map and send notifications just to those people affected in that area, and really in whatever method that they prefer to receive that information.
So that's the real genius in our mass notification platform, is that ability to target down so we can get the right information out to the right people as quickly as possible so that they can take steps to protect themselves and stay safe. You can also register through a system called Nixle. Nixle is completely anonymous. You text your zip code to 888-777 and then you're in the system. The downside to that is that in Nixle, it's limited to zip codes, whereas in Aware and Prepare, we can target it down to a very small area, even a single structure. We're doing our very best to make sure that we are only sending out information that's important to the right people so that they can take timely action to stay safe. That's what this is all about. Our priority is life safety in everything we do, and that goes with our mass notification system. It's there to help the public stay safe before, during, and after emergencies and disasters.
Please don't hesitate to sign up now for emergency alerts by going to our website at www.sbsheriff.org and clicking on the Aware and Prepare link. You can also sign up to receive Nixle alerts from the Sheriff's Office so we can send you our press releases and information about Sheriff's Office events directly to your cell phone or email.
So I want to start this morning on this portion with some background about cockfighting.
The Sheriff's Office recently participated in a first-time Santa Barbara County training event. Law enforcement officers, animal control officers, and prosecutors alike attended a class at the Sheriff's Training Bureau on how to handle animal cruelty cases. Studies show that suspects who commit acts of animal cruelty often go on to commit violent crimes against persons. Here's senior law enforcement specialist for the Humane Society of the United States, Eric Sakich, with this edition of the Training Corner.
The idea that we have an animal cruelty course now came about because the sheriff wanted to get some of this training going for his deputies so that they would know to recognize and how to respond to these types of incidents, which are much more common than a lot of people want to believe. And we want to make sure that when law enforcement does intervene, that they're using all the tools that they have available to them. When we talk about animal fighting crimes, for instance, cockfighting and dogfighting, there are misconceptions out there that's put out by cockfighters themselves. And the truth of the fact is that these are gambling offenses and offenses where people are entertained by watching animals literally tear each other up. These are offenses that tear apart families and communities. Often it's spouses that are making the calls on our tip lines to turn somebody in. In some of those cases, we understand that the spouses are the victims of domestic violence situations, or that the children are being threatened. They don't want their children growing up in that atmosphere of violence. So we do offer tip lines in that regard. We pay out rewards every year, up to $5,000 for information that leads to the arrest of anybody involved in these activities. Cockfighting and dogfighting both are now among the areas that are prioritized for U.S. attorneys and Office of Inspector General with the USDA. So we're going to see more prosecutions of people who are involved in interstate transportation of dogs or roosters for fighting purposes, all federal felonies. Neglect is probably the most common form of animal abuse or animal cruelty out there. And we need to understand that this is usually related to the education or ignorance of the people who have the animal. The fact that it's not being kept with proper shelter, proper medical attention or veterinary attention, proper food, water, grooming, all of the things that go into the maintenance of the animal on a humane way. This is an area where the agency has an opportunity to be an educator. But I'm here to tell you, if the officer doesn't see an improvement or the conditions are such that the person has let it go on too long, the officer needs to be in a position to be able to say, we're seizing this animal. And prosecution is a very real possibility here.
Thanks to the DA's office, Davies Voice, and the Humane Society of the United States for partnering with us to make this training possible. We hope to offer this important class on a regular basis. One of the hardest aspects of being a law enforcement officer, or any first responder for that matter, is dealing with the tragedies that you sometimes see and experience. Some of these difficult events leave emotional scars that can last a lifetime. Fortunately, the Sheriff's Office has a group of caring, trained professionals to help process these events. Here's Chaplain Jerry Gray to show us how chaplains help not only first responders, but also the victims and family members of those who are involved in these terrible times of crisis.
The duties of the chaplain. It's really a ministry of presence. A chaplain really needs to be available whenever they're needed, visible so they're seen, they're part of the department, and very flexible because sometimes we're called to do things that we've never done before. The department is our #1 priority, so we're there for them. We do ride-alongs, we spend time whenever they need to do invocations.
Let me introduce Sheriff Chaplain Jerry Gray.
Thank you and good afternoon. Truly, this is a wonderful event. It's always a pleasure to represent all the chaplains within the county, especially.
On the flip side, we're there for the sadness, for the grief. And more often than not, that's when we respond out for a death. And we have the victims, family members or friends, and they're also victims of the circumstance. And so the department will get in touch with dispatch. Dispatch will call out for a chaplain and we'll respond. And there it's, again, the ministry of presence, of being there to help them through that time and allowing the deputies or fire personnel do what they need to do to get through that short period of time, and then we're there for the family. Right now we have 9 chaplains. We have 4 chaplains in North County. We have 4 chaplains in the South County here, and we have 1 in Carpinteria. #1 is to take care of the family, their needs at the moment. It's almost like first aid at that particular point. And sometimes it's a matter of getting them water, making sure that they're in an area where it's away from the scene and they're protected. And quite often, we try to find out if they have any kind of a religious or spiritual connection, and we'll make phone calls. I've had to make phone calls to rabbis, Greek Orthodox. We have kind of a network, so we're there for them, whatever that might be. Now, on the flip side, if they care to use our spiritual services, there's been many times where we've done memorials and funerals for these families. They will connect with us. They will let us into their grief at that particular time. So we'll go as far as they want us to go spiritually or in regards to helping them through the grieving process. In regards to the deputies individually, that's when the ride-alongs come into play. It's a matter of building a relationship with them so they can trust you. And when there's trust, then there's more conversation. And there's some deputies that I have a really great relationship with, and we talk, fairly often. Until they see you out functioning as a chaplain in the community, do they really embrace what you do? And in that, they build that respect, and then we have that foundation where we can go in a personal mode. It gives the community a feeling that we are there in every respect. We see ourselves as just one more resource for the community that the Sheriff's Department utilizes. So out in Isla Vista, Halloween, we're in the booking area, and we're kind of the softer side of coming in and giving them blankets over the individuals that you can tell that are really struggling with that particular moment. The department's been very good of allowing us into places where we can minister to the public. And you do what you need to do. You really are thankful that you've been used in that particular way. And that's what keeps us going, truly, is seeing the need, being able to be there for the need, and then feeling that we're part of the team. And when we have the large events, I mean, the real devastating to the community, that's the times with the chaplains, we come together throughout the whole county. Many times we'll call in Lompoc chaplains to come in and aid with us. PD chaplains, we're there for the community, whatever they need in that support. And we're actually doing training now. So we invite all the chaplains together and we train. So when the events do happen, we have a relationship. So that's something we hadn't had for a long time. So I'm really glad that this is happening for us right now. A portion of our quarterly training, if you will, we call it reflections. And that's when we just go around the table and we talk about the calls. And you can tell some of them, it's their time to kind of debrief, of what they experienced. And so we're there for each other because we do understand the dynamics of that. We try to protect each other from those things. Well, personally, I mean, it's good, bad, and the ugly, truly. I mean, you see some really ugly things. You have to have an inner strength. Again, it's my faith, that got me into it in the first place. But it's what sustains me. It's better to give than receive, and truly giving of yourself, I'm receiving so much more of a blessing in the midst of true crisis. And that's the miracle of it.
If you feel the need to talk to a chaplain, they can be reached by calling our non-emergency dispatch line at 805-683-2724. You can learn more about our chaplains program by visiting our website at www.sbsheriff.org. While chaplains are available to counsel inmates at the Santa Barbara County Jail, another helpful resource is our Sheriff's Treatment Program. For more than 22 years, STP has helped reduce recidivism by teaching thousands of inmates skills to help them make better choices. There's no better way to see the positive impact this program is having than to hear directly from some of the inmates who have successfully completed STP.
Coming here, I didn't really want to change. I was used to just getting my time and doing my time and getting out and trying to do things on my own, but pretty much failing every time. I joined STP kind of just to get out of the unit and to occupy my time, but I found that I really, really enjoyed it. It taught me how to deal with situations. It taught me things for everyday life. It taught me that this is not the place I want to be.
I learned that there's a lot more to life than just the life that I was living, and how every day my choices make a difference in my future, that there's a bigger picture, there's so much more of the world that I haven't been able to see, and in order to be able to get to that, I'd have to change my way of thinking.
It brings to you an environment that is warm and inviting and allows you to be yourself in a respectful way, where everybody, it becomes almost like a family, and allows you to open up where you're free to be yourself and to talk about problems, and you're not scared about how you're going to be judged or how people are going to view you. So you get to the heart of the problems.
If it wasn't for my wonderful teacher, Maria Antonia, none of this would have been possible, because she never gives up on us and she's willing to call us on our stuff. You know what I mean? You can't just pull the wool over her eyes. She's seen it all. And I needed that. That was something I needed, because I'm really good at talking myself out of situations, and she would not allow me to do that.
She made me want to make a plan to further progress my life instead of being stuck in what I do every day. I used to think that coming here was their fault, like the cops or the justice system. I used to blame it on them, but really it was all me. It was actually my distorted thinking that made me think that it was everybody else but me.
I had nobody when I came in. I had no family. The friends that I had weren't really friends. And coming into this jail, the people helped with my self-esteem, helped with fixing the issues I had, and we helped build each other. It wasn't just me. It was, I got something from it too by feeling complete by helping others too. And it made me feel like a person too, not just an inmate, and then that you are capable of change.
A group of male inmates also recently graduated from the SDP program.
Because this is the kind of thing that we really need to provide for you, so that when you get out and you get back into our community, you have the tools that you need to be able to succeed.
We want to thank all of our SDP counselors, administrators, and the inmates themselves who have participated in this program and made it successful. One person who helped develop and guide our sheriff's programs at the jail is Custody Lieutenant Tim McWilliams. After 29 years of service, Lieutenant McWilliams retired in December after an impressive career working various assignments in our custody branch, including booking, classification, transportation, operations, the Santa Maria Branch Jail, and most recently as the program's unit manager.
And it is very clear, Tim, that you have left this badge untarnished the way you found it. And it's my pleasure to present you this retirement badge today.
Thank you, Lieutenant McWilliams, for your commitment to the Sheriff's Office and for looking out for the best interests of those in our custody. Thanks also go to Custody Deputy Kimberly Smith for her 26 years of service. We'll miss your bright smile and caring nature, Kim, and we wish you the best in your well-deserved retirement. Fortunately, even when we lose great employees to retirement, we're able to welcome talented new people to our organization, thanks to our incredibly hard-working Human Resources Division. The Sheriff's Office recently welcomed 5 new deputies who, after 5 months of intense training, graduated from the Allen Hancock Law Enforcement Academy. The graduates were among 24 recruits in the academy. I had the privilege of swearing them in and giving them their new badges before the traditional academy graduation ceremony. The Sheriff's Office also welcomed 7 new deputies who graduated from the Ventura County Criminal Justice Training Center. The graduation was held in Oxnard, but we held a special ceremony for the graduates the day before at our Sheriff's Training Bureau. Under Sheriff Bernard Malekian had the honor of swearing these graduates in. They were among 46 recruits in this academy class, and we are grateful to have them join the Sheriff's Office team. We also welcomed 12 new custody deputies who graduated from the Allen Hancock Corps Custody Deputy Academy. The cadets completed 220 hours of instruction to make it to graduation day. The graduates range from 22 to 45 years of age and come to the Sheriff's Office with a variety of backgrounds and experiences. We also recently welcomed new employee William Colson as a cost analyst, and we hired 2 new utility workers, Kent Jensen and Carlos Nunez. We extend a warm welcome to all of our new employees and wish them a long, safe, and rewarding career with the Sheriff's Office. The Sheriff's Office is always looking for outstanding people who are seeking to make a difference in their community. If you're interested in a rewarding career with our agency, go to our website at www.sbsheriff.org and then go to the Join Us section. You'll find a wealth of information about job opportunities and tips on how to apply and prepare. The Sheriff's Office also wants to congratulate a group of young graduates who completed the Drug Abuse Resistance Education Program, taught by retired Sheriff's Deputy Leslie Avila. DARE teaches kids about the importance of making good decisions, resisting peer pressure, detecting and preventing bullying, and many more important life lessons. Students from the Orchid Academy in Los Alamos completed the program and were proud to receive their certificates, thanks to the generosity of the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Benevolent Posse. We wish DARE could be offered at every school in Santa Barbara County. If you would like to help support the DARE program, please go to the Sheriff's Benevolent Posse website at www.sbsheriffsposse.com.
Hey, what's up, Jake? Now's your chance, man.
Officers enjoyed meeting with Isla Vista students on National Coffee with a Cop Day in October. It was an excellent chance for many new UCSB students to get to know some of the officers who help keep their community safe, and for the deputies and UCSB officers to get to know some of the people who they protect and serve. Fortunately, Halloween in Isla Vista in 2017 was one of the safest and most uneventful on record. For the fourth year in a row, attendance at this once historically rowdy event was dramatically lower than in past years, and so too were the number of arrests, citations, and medical transports. Over the 5-day Halloween enforcement period, there were just 19 arrests, 13 citations, and 10 medical transports, much lower numbers than in previous years. There was never a large crowd, and those who were there were mostly locals celebrating responsibly. Thanks to all of the groups in Isla Vista and throughout the county who have worked so hard together to turn this event into a safe and local tradition. Most importantly, we thank the students for their cooperation and good behavior. The Santa Barbara County Special Olympics athletes were once again greeted by cheers up and down State Street in Santa Barbara during the holiday parade. Our dedicated Lieutenant, Butch Arnaldi, has helped coordinate this event year after year, and he enjoyed walking the parade route with the energetic group of special athletes. Thanks also to California Highway Patrol Traffic Officer John Gutierrez for leading the way in his patrol car. The Sheriff's Office is proud to partner with the Special Olympics on a number of events that support this extraordinarily worthwhile organization throughout the year. Custody deputies also got into the holiday giving spirit this year with both a long-standing tradition and a new one. As part of the Recycle a Bicycle program, custody deputies dropped off 10 refurbished bicycles to give to children in need at the Transition House in Santa Barbara. The bikes were all repaired and reconditioned by inmates at the Santa Barbara County Jail as part of a work program that gives them the chance to give back to their community.
These bikes that were so generously donated by the Sheriff's Department, they're going to go to kids living in our shelter. You know, a lot of them come to us and they just really don't have much. They're in pretty bad situations. It's pretty rough. So, and a lot of them have actually asked for bikes for Christmas. So this is great. We'll be able to give a lot of kids a smile on Christmas morning when they see a new bike.
So the program that we're working with right now has been going on for at least a good 10 years. It's something that started a while back. We get bikes donated from the community year-round. We have the inmates start working on fixing the bikes and donate them to different causes, different community organizations like Transition House. And it's just a good way for the department to give back to the community that it serves. It's a good way for the department to keep the inmates productively occupied. They get to learn a new skill, and basically a win-win all the way around.
Also, for the first time this year, custody deputies and California Forensic Medical Group employees dropped off care packages to homeless community members throughout Santa Barbara.
CFMG, in conjunction with the Sheriff's Office Custody Division, got together and we collected donations from our staff, and we came together yesterday. We put together packages with a lot of help. We are stopping by 10 different locations. We're starting with the Transition House, and then we will go about town to different parks around the area, different areas where there's a dense population of homeless people.
So we found that this time of year is really appropriate to give back to those who are less fortunate than ourselves and others in the community.
Bless you guys, thank you. It feels good to see some on the other side, huh? Bless you guys, have a good one. You too.
The items were all obtained or purchased by Sheriff's Custody and CFMG employees. Thanks also go to Kmart for the generous discount that they gave on some of these items. And finally, we end this roundup with a request for you to check out our newly revamped website. It replaces our 18-year-old site and took several years to complete. We hope you find it to be very useful, user-friendly, and a great resource for information. The website is more than 120 pages long and contains more than 650 photographs and informative videos. It's mobile compatible, interactive, and bilingual. Some of the features include how to find out who is in custody, how to file an online report, or how to make an anonymous tip. Thanks to new directions in computing, PIO Kelly Hoover, Lieutenant Juan Camarena, and technical specialist Jerry Short for their extraordinary work in making this happen. Together, they designed and built a site we are very proud of. We also hope you'll take advantage of our Thank a Cop section on the website. It's a way for the public to thank sheriff's employees who've made a difference or helped them in any way. We'll make sure that the messages get directly to them and to their chains of command. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of the Sheriff's Roundup. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay safe, and thank you for supporting us as we protect your safety.